Hey, this is Morgan Pratt with the JMac for Congress campaign. If you're listening to this podcast, sounds like you like JMac. You can find out more about him by going to his Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe and rate us. Now coming up, more JMac.
Hello there and welcome into another edition of the JMac podcast. Consider this podcast a campaign update. Where do we stand in our campaign to represent the 4th District of Utah in Congress? As you can imagine, going from talk radio into campaigning has been very enlightening and educational. And I'm growing. I'm growing every single day. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of a frustration that I have right now. And I want to share it with you because it's something that we need to figure out how to change. And that is a portion of the campaign requirements that actually favor the wealthy. And I know that you believe, because I believe it too, that we want a system where average, everyday people can run for office. Have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And so people who don't have means ought to be able to get involved. And of course, I'm learning that that's a very difficult process, that asking people for money, campaigning is expensive. But I'm coming up against something that is going to start happening in January that maybe was designed to allow the people to be involved, but is turning out to be just another way that the wealthy can buy an election. And that is the requirement to get signatures. Now, there's 2 ways to get on the ballot in the state of Utah. You can either get signatures, and for me, I need to gather 7,000 signatures from registered Republicans. And it needs to be done in about a 7 or 8 week time frame, 7,000 signatures. Or you go through the caucus system and you win that. And if you win that, then you get on the ballot. Now, most people will choose to do both. And I am choosing to do both. So we're going to send out a bunch of people, and we're going to need volunteers. We'll need your help to go out and get signatures to get on the ballot. And then we'll go into the caucus and we'll try and convince delegates to vote for us as well. We will take both routes. And as I said, most people will. But here's the thing. Gathering 7,000 signatures in that short period of time is incredibly difficult. And these signatures are verified. And what happens is it's first in, first get, I guess you would call it. So if one of my opponents gets you to sign a signature form and they get to you first, then if I run into you in the front of Walmart and I say, hey, sign mine, and you sign mine as well, will only one signature count. So whoever gets that signature first is the first person to be able to, they're the only person who gets that signature. So what this does is it invites companies to come in who are professionals at gathering signatures. And the more you pay them, the more workforce they can send out in order to gather those signatures faster. And of course, the faster you gather the signatures, the more you will get those first come signatures. And so you think about somebody who is not of significant financial means, like myself, somebody who left their job, who's currently unemployed, and relying 100% on donations in order to get those signatures. You compare me to somebody like some of my other opponents, most of whom loaned themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're just going to dial up these companies and they're going to hire them, and they're going to push through the process much faster than me. Clearly, this system benefits the wealthy. And that is problematic. And there's a couple of ways that you could solve the problem. One of them would be to extend the amount of time that you can have to gather the signatures. A couple of months is just not reasonable. Another way you could do it is allow for people to vote on multiple signatures. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. But what I know for sure is that this process is benefiting those people who have the most money. And anytime we have that scenario in our society, we need to look at changing that system. We want to have a system that encourages anybody and everybody to be able to get involved. Nobody should look at running for office and say, I just can't afford it. If that's the case, we're missing out on entire segments of our population. And do we want to be represented by the wealthy, or do we want to be represented by people who are just like us? Now, don't get me wrong. We're raising money and we're asking you to donate. And if we can, we will hire a company. That's our goal. We're going to have to do that in order to be competitive with everybody else. I've got to play within these rules first so that I can get into a position where I can change these rules. Now, a lot of these need to be changed at a state level. But regardless, we're raising money right now, and we're going to ask you to make a donation. Go to jmacforutah.com and help us raise money so that we can compete with these wealthy competitors and be able to raise signatures as quickly as they do. If not, we're going to lose out. There's a real chance that as much as with the huge amount of support that I have, which is significantly more than any other candidate in this race, by about 15 percentage points more. Think about this. According to our polling, I have about a 15% lead on anybody else in this race, but there is a chance that I won't make it on the ballot because I can't afford to hire a company to gather signatures. Now, that should be enough right there for everybody to hear that and say, that's wrong. That's not right. Now, I can't change the laws right now. So what I need you to do is to support me. Go to jmacforutah.com and make a donation. Make a one-time donation, or better yet, become one of our Keystone members and commit to making a monthly donation. We need to be able to have a company hired by January 1st in order to raise this money. So in a very strange way, you donating money is one of the ways that we can keep the wealthy from buying an election, because that is the last thing we want and need here in Utah. And it's change that needs to be made. Whether you live in the district or not, you can donate even if you don't live in the district. So consider this my plea. Help us get on the ballot. Help us raise money for this upcoming election, and help us compete with people who can just write themselves checks and buy elections. That's my ask. Go to jmacforutah.com and help us out.
Thanks for listening to the JMac podcast. If you'd like to donate to JMac for Congress, you can go to jmacforutah.com. That's jmacforutah.com.